A woman tells a guy sleeping upstairs to hurry up and come down since she's ready for breakfast. The man slowly gets up, remarking that he's Dae-ho. The woman warns the man that she'll finish breakfast first if he doesn't come quickly. The guy gets up and gets dressed, telling the woman he's coming down now. 7 years ago, he became an orphan. That day, his parents were in a car accident. They died on the spot. A man took a young Dae-ho to meet 3 women. He was an orphan and was about to be sent to the facility. Fortunately, his dad's friends adopted him and encouraged him to live in their home. Just like that, he met his new family. Now he's turned 20 years old and they've been living together so far. Dae-ho wishes a girl Cha-mia good morning, remarking that she's the eldest daughter of this family, 23 years old and is a college student. She's his big sister and always takes care of him, which is why he has the best relationship with her at home. Dae-ho wishes his aunt and uncle a good morning, so his uncle Young-gu tells him to come. Dae-ho cheerily remarks that uncle is his dad's partner and good friend. He's grateful for the way he brought him in to live with them. Next, Dae-ho introduces his aunt, Jung-Yoon-ah, who always works hard for the family and is like an angel guarding this home with love and tolerance. Yoon-ah asks if Soo-ah hasn't come down yet and tells Dae-ho to go up and tell Soo-ah to get up. Dae-ho cheerily agrees to go up and call her, and Cha-mia sees that he's really energetic. Yoon-ah laughingly asks if that's not good. Dae-ho knocks on Soo-ah's door and remarks that the last person he's going to introduce is the youngest person in this house until he arrived, Cha Soo-ah. Dae-ho embarrassingly asks her to come down for breakfast. However, Soo-ah says she won't eat breakfast, and annoyingly reminds Dae-ho that he isn't allowed to open her door. Dae-ho hurriedly shuts the door and remarks that Soo-ah always likes to read and write in a dark room. He's still trying to have her open up to him. But she's the difficult one in this house, which is why, after so many years, he doesn't know how to get close to Soo-ah. Dae-ho tells Yoon-ah that Soo-ah said she doesn't want to eat. Surprised, Yoon-ah worryingly mutters that her daily routine is so abnormal that she can ruin her body. Young-gu says that's okay. She's so smart she can take care of herself. They sit down and start eating, as Dae-ho remarks that this is where he grew up. This is his sweet home. Dae-ho is sitting outside with his friend, Han Ko-bong, who's his high school classmate, and lives near his home. He always fell asleep in his class, and he felt pitiful towards him, which is why he deliberately stayed with him. Later in his house, Dae-ho isn't able to sleep and suddenly realizes he's thirsty. He decides to go for a glass of water and suddenly hears a weird sound. He thinks it's from Yoon-ah's room and wonders if she's sick. Dae-ho returns to his room and lies down. He embarrassingly decides to go to sleep quickly. Next morning, Yoon-ah remarks that it was a wise decision to go to the market and buy vegetables because of how fresh the tomatoes are. Mia asks what's for breakfast before Dae-ho comes down and bids them a good morning. Yoon-ah tells him to come over and sit down, so he asks why he didn't see Young-gu. She reveals that he went out on a business trip and will come back in a few days. Later, Yoon-ah remarks that Dae-ho became an orphan at a young age and couldn't have a normal growth process like everyone else. Someone has to teach him because her husband is really worried for him. She remembers that Ko-bong is the only friend who's worried about him. In the night, Dae-ho wearily gets ready to sleep, but Yoon-ah suddenly enters and says she saw that the lights were on in his room. I'm sure there's no other reason. She asks if he isn't going to sleep and if he would like to talk to her, and sits down next to him on the bed. Yoon-ah remembers how one day, some boys made fun of Dae-ho for being an orphan and pushed him into a creek. Yoon-ah leaves Dae-ho's room and remarks that, as expected, Dae-ho knew nothing. He's a very kind boy who doesn't have many friends around him. It's as if he's grown up alone in a great castle, ignorant of everything around him. The next morning, Mia sees that Young-gu isn't here, so Yoon-ah explains he'll be back tomorrow. Dae-ho nervously wishes Yoon-ah a good morning, and she embarrassingly asks if he slept well. She says they should start eating now since they're all here. In his room, Dae-ho remarks that Young-gu will be back tomorrow. Later, as they're about to sit down, Yoon-ah sees that Soo-ah isn't coming out for her late-night snack again. Mia tells Yoon-ah to leave her alone since she doesn't want her to be stubborn. She asks if Young-gu isn't coming today, so Yoon-ah explains that he has a lot of work to do, so he'll be back tomorrow. Young-gu comes back next morning and cheerily asks where Mia is. Mia happily snatches a box of walnut cookies from his arm, after which Young-gu heads into his room with Yoon-ah. Yoon-ah asks if he's eaten yet, and wonders why Dae-ho looks so disappointed since she's not sure she did anything wrong. Yoon-ah remarks that Dae-ho has stopped visiting her since her husband returned, and says she's already taught him a lot. She takes some supplements for Yonggu, and he mutters that he'll have to ask her to prepare some supplements for the guys as well. In the morning, Yoon-ah calls everyone to come down for breakfast, and Dae-ho runs into Mia on his way. She annoyingly smacks him on his head and tells him to hurry up, or else she's going to eat all the delicious food. In the night, Soo-ah goes down to the fridge, seeing which Yoon-ah asks if she's having a late-night snack. Soo-ah affirms this as she makes an egg for herself, and says she's going to make a sandwich. Yoon-ah asks what she's going to do when she's changed her day and night like that. Soo-ah reminds her that her holidays have just begun, and asks if she can't just let it go. Yoon-ah tells her to make sure she eats well and says there's some cheese too. Soo-ah mutters that she's got it so she can go back to her room now. Yoon-ah sighs and slowly starts leaving, but she looks up the staircase and hopes Dae-ho is all right. Meanwhile, Mia asks Dae-ho what he means, and if he's embarrassed. Dae-ho hurriedly tries to deny it, but Mia orders him to straight up tell her what the hell he's thinking. As Dae-ho slowly leaves the room, he unexpectedly runs into Soo-ah. Shocked, he hurriedly tries to explain that Mia was giving him advice on some stuff since she teaches him everything. However, Soo-ah annoyingly asks who even says that, and walks past him, seeing which Dae-ho sighs with relief. Mia slowly leaves her room in the morning and wonders what the hell is happening with her since she couldn't even sleep well. She questions what she should do about this now, and frustratingly drops the topic. Yoon-ah notices Mia and says she's come down really late today. Mia explains that she couldn't sleep well last night, and apologizes. She notices Soo-ah and mutters that it's unusual to see her up at this hour, asking if she's up today for something special. Soo-ah reveals that she's going to the library today before Yonggu cheerily says it's been a long time since he saw all the pretty girls together in the same room. He says they should have breakfast together, and they start eating. Mia sneakily glances towards Dae-ho and nervously wonders why this had to get so complicated. Later, as she's about to leave, Soo-ah announces that she's heading off for the library, and Mia watches her go from her room, muttering that Yonggu is out on a business trip and Soo-ah has left for the library. She goes downstairs and asks Yoon-ah if she's not going out today. Confused, Yoon-ah asks what she means, so Mia nervously asks if she didn't have any flower arrangement classes today. Yoon-ah thinks about it and says it's been a long time since she last went there. In that case, Mia suggests that she head to the supermarket since Yonggu would like to eat some better side dishes when he comes back from his business trip. Yoon-ah asks if the side dishes they've made right now aren't delicious, hearing which Mia suddenly realizes something and informs Yoon-ah that they don't have any meat at home. She's desperately trying to come up with something. She tells her that if she wants to cheer up Yonggu when he returns home, she needs to cook him something nice. Yoon-ah thoughtfully admits she's right and starts to leave, saying she'll be right back, so Mia tells her to go buy some ribeye meat and cook it for Yonggu, since she feels sorry for him because of how much weight he's been losing lately. Mia smilingly watches her go and remarks that her plan succeeded and worked perfectly. Mia dresses up and is about to head to Dae-ho's room, but he suddenly charges out with his bag. He asks what's up since he's on his way to meet a friend. Mia blushingly hesitates, so he asks if something's wrong, but she wearily confirms that it's nothing and slowly says she was thinking they could hang out since they were both at home alone. Dae-ho doesn't answer and says he'll be heading out now, as Mia inwardly remarks that this isn't how it was supposed to go, and sighs in exasperation. As Dae-ho is cycling in the town, he suddenly comes to a halt and starts wearily panting. In the house, Mia is lying on her bed and annoyingly says, "This is really boring," before Dae-ho suddenly enters her room and hurriedly says he's here out to hang out with her. Mia grins and asks what he thinks they should do in that case. As Mia and Dae-ho are playing Jenga, she accidentally topples it over and loses, saying he can make a wish now that he's won. Yoon-ah returns to the house and wonders if someone's home. She goes up the stairs, remarking that it could be nice if Mia could help her with the onions, and knocks on the door. Mia comes down to the kitchen and asks Yoon-ah what she should do, so she asks if she can help her with the onions. Mia sits down at the table to cut the onions and asks Yoon-ah to not say anything. Yoon-ah embarrassingly mutters that she does have something to say, before Dae-ho quickly runs down the stairs and announces that he's going to visit Kobong and will be back soon. Yoon-ah is surprised that Dae-ho was home and asks if she knew, hearing which Mia slowly sighs. Dae-ho reaches Kobong's house and calls for him, but no one answers, so he wonders what happened, remembering how Kobong said he was going to show him a drone. He questions where he's gone and suddenly notices Kobong's sister Yoo-hee lying on the deck. Dae-ho slowly wakes her up and she's surprised to see him. She cheerily asks if he's here to see Kobong and tells him to come up since Kobong said the drone needs to be fixed. Yuhi gives Daeho a can of soda and says the day is really hot, so they go to the sea on a day like this. Daeho slowly looks over at her and nervously says he has a question he wants to ask her. Bro is really on a hunt for every girl.